Let me first set my foundation for my speech. Of course, I have a problem with the larger systems of education. Yes, I'm speaking of public schools. But I see common links between both theirs and mine. I believe mine is a lead, and I need to first set the foundation for how I feel about my school. I love my school, and I've loved these very walls since the August of my 3rd grade year, and I loved it equally as when we were located elsewhere. I consider this school my second home, and that's why I feel that it's part of my responsibility to keep this foundation and preserve it for the generations after me, my underclassmen as they're rising to become where I am today. I'd like to say that because of this so-felt responsibility, I feel it's my job to call issues to light that I have witnessed and experienced. I speak purely out of love, but as we know, love cannot be as blind as it typically is. Anyone who is married will agree that even though something is very loved, the flaws still remain. Please understand that my thoughts are going to be influenced by the system of education I have experienced for the past 13 years. I'm not trying to lay blame to teachers or administration personally. In fact, I love every one of my teachers, and I feel love in return. I know that they have gone to every extreme possible to make sure that I succeed, and this is something truly special to Loganville Christian Academy. I have no problem with any person here. My problem is strictly with the system alone. Since I'm young, my ideas are commonly stuffed out before I can express them to open ears. Now, I will not hold anyone accountable for not holding to 1 Timothy 4:12. But I cannot grasp why youth is so quickly shushed. It's like we have no minds of our own. Surely no one will accuse that we cannot think for ourselves, or that we just have no life experience, because the first can lay direct blame to the educational system, and the second, I cannot be in charge of when I was birthed, or how long I have survived, and the art of apprenticeship has truly been lost from the confinement of these walls. I graduate with little knowledge and no real life experience. Since the naivety of youth is an easy way to dispel my argument, I'm going to use quotes from men and women that the school system not only require me to know, but also require me to love. So before I begin my plea, I need to state my agreement with Mark Twain. And I finally realized that I could not let schooling get in the way of my education. First, I will set my problem of why I have an issue with the educational system. For this, I use Ralph Waldo Emerson. He says, "We are students of words. We are shut up in schools, colleges, and recitation rooms for 10 or 15 years, and come out at last with a bag of wind, a memory of words, and do not know a thing." Now, it strikes me when he says a memory of words, because it exemplifies my fact that we have no thoughts of our own. We are all pushed towards one common set of thinking. I've both felt and witnessed the corruption of conformity. Though not direct, we're all guided towards one process of thinking. They tell us that there's only one way that things can be done. I've been taught to record other people's thoughts, voices, and beliefs and express them as my own, when honestly, it was never my thought to begin with. We're measured by every intellectual test they can find or come up with, and yet our personal strengths and weaknesses are never variables in the equation. They are never accounted for. The system is working to make us well-rounded. But what exactly is being well-rounded? I understand this goal, and I think it's very important. But to me, being well-rounded doesn't mean that I know about logarithms or Kafka, the Scandal of Calhoun, Superior Vena Cava, tectonic plate shifts, or Schrodinger's cat. Now, I know this is common things that you learn in high school, but I doubt that any one of you can accurately describe in detail every one of these things to me. And I believe you all probably assume that you're well-rounded people, and I believe that you are. Because I don't believe that being well-rounded should be founded on how much trivia you know. I believe that it's taking a base principle and being able to apply your own knowledge and apply your own thoughts to it. So I understand this goal, and I think it's very important, but teach us how to think about these issues. Don't give us useless trivia that we're never going to be held accountable for. I feel like somehow in the extension of knowledge, I lost all of myself. I became exactly what they wanted me to be, a person of little thought. Einstein thought as I did. He said, "School failed me, and I failed the school." It bored me. The teachers behaved like fill bubble sergeants. I wanted to learn what I wanted to know. but they wanted me to learn for the exam. He goes on to say, I felt that my thirst for knowledge was being strangled by my teachers. Grades were their only measurement. How can a teacher understand youth with such a system? From the age of 12, I began to suspect authority and distrust teachers. Now, luckily, I know that all of my teachers are for my success. I know that they will go to any length possible to make sure that I am successful in life and that they have accurately prepared me. But my views on the system are quite the opposite. I have high doubts and I'm very skeptical of their leadership. I don't believe they can understand youth with such a system, and I honestly don't believe that they even want to. This leads to my next issue. My next issue is with the decrease of creativity, which is what expresses individuality. All things start by being creative. Nothing is here that someone did not first imagine, did not first create. We write essays, reports, and summaries, but if our interpretation of them is wrong, we fail. Now, this is about as successful as the Rorschach ink-blot test, which is a humorous joke between the psychology field, the fact that I decided to go on. We've oppressed individuality into practical non-existence. No wonder the pressure to normalize and become like society is so detrimental to you. Everyone is against peer pressure, except when your peers are your authority and when they want certain demands of you. Bill Gates presents my case well by saying, if you give people tools, they use their natural abilities and their curiosity. They will develop things in ways that will surprise you very much beyond what you might have expected. And this is what we're asking for. We're asking for tools to help us succeed in life. We're not asking for all of the quotes that we need to memorize and repeat. I believe that the job of the school is to provide us with tools, not a step-by-step blueprint to process thinking. I don't want an educational handout. I want an educational enhancement. By a recent survey, it shows the percentage of parents and teachers and their thoughts on school versus creativity. 73% of parents and 74% of teachers agree that creativity is not valued by the educational system. 84% of parents and 79% of teachers agree that the school does not allow enough time for creativity. These statistics will only gain leverage with the implementation of Common Core. There was one mentor who truly understands what it is to imply individual leadership to a student, and this is Anne Sullivan, Helen Keller's mentor. She says, I'm beginning to suspect all elaborate and special systems of education. They seem to be built upon the supposition that every child is a kind of idiot who must be taught how to think. She goes on to defend her point. She says, let him come and go freely. Let him touch real things and combine his impressions for himself. Young adults should have a freedom to experience what they enjoy before college. Maybe we wouldn't change our majors as much if we actually got to dive into our desires and ignite our passions. Let the subjects make an impression on the student instead of picking the student's impressions of the subjects. I'm going to move on to famous poet Robert Frost. He understands and he quotes, half the world is composed of people who have something to say and can't, and the other half who have nothing to say and keep saying it. We simply cannot afford to keep teaching this way. We have to break the chains of habit now. Since we live in a society where money screams loudest and educational systems are nothing more than a corporation, Warren Buffett adds, chains of habit are too light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken. I'm afraid that's the age that we're entering our future generations into. And being the devil's advocate that I love to be, your side will simply say that these mandates are necessary, that Common Core subjects are the cores of education. Yes, I understand, and I completely agree with this. But what I do not understand is though some kids have gone to the furthest extent of their possibilities and they have met all the criteria and or have succeeded, like myself, we are still bound by policy and we are limited by the system. I'm unable to pick my own path, though I know what I want to do with my life. I am not able to ignite that passion and truly do all things necessary to achieve that goal. I cannot idly sit by as policy binds me and that I am limited. It strikes me that people that will never live a day in my shoes are responsible for making all the decisions in my life. I know the path and the demands of it. Let me ignite my own passions. Let me carve my own way. Originally, that's what Americans found on, freedoms. And I believe I have a right to my own education. I believe that it's a freedom. All children want to express themselves in a way to unlock their fullest potential. I have never met anyone who did not want to succeed in something. What the school system needs to realize is kids have individual interests, individual passions. But when we tell kids that only a couple are valued, that only a couple are going to be reasonable in life, that's going to cause self-esteem issues. That's going to make them self-conscious about what they're truly passionate about. Kids are taught that all subjective thinking is pointless and not reasonable. And they want to fill these voids with rational, objective thinking and a repetition of words. Noam Chomsky concludes my speech nicely when he says, "The whole educational and professional training system is a very elaborate filter, which just weeds out people who are too independent, who think for themselves, and who do not know how to be submissive and so on, because they're dysfunctional to the institutions.